Welcome to styleXstudio, a channel dedicated to providing you knowledge free of cost. Yes, you heard it, absolutely free. No registration fees, no tuition fees, nada, nothing, zilch, zero. It's all entirely free. And you are positively encouraged to speak back to the teacher via the comments. So, welcome to styleXstudio. And in this video we will learn how to place image inside text with Photoshop. So without further ado, let's get straight into Photoshop. Okay, so let's open up our Photoshop, and as soon as we open up our Photoshop we'll see our interface, and within this interface, as you can see from the right side in the layers panel, I have three different layers. I have a background layer, a text layer, and an image layer. Okay, I'm just going to turn off the image layer and the text layer. This is the background. Okay, the layer above that would be the text layer, and the topmost layer, player himself. And what I'd like to do is get this player to show within that text. Okay, so we're going to use this image of this player to show within that text itself. Okay, so let's get cracking. You can use any type of font that you want. Okay, it all depends on your projects or on your personal preferences. For me, I'm using a font type called Lee Gothic, and it's just a regular font style. Okay, and the topmost layer, image. So how do we actually get this player to show within that text? Simply, it's a very simple process. It's called a clipping mask. Now, what is a clipping mask, you may ask? Okay, a clipping mask, I will give you a brief definition of what a clipping mask is. All it is a clipping mask lets you use the content of the layer to control the visibility of the layers above. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so how do we create a clipping mask? There's three different ways, and I will show you those three different methods right now. First method, go anywhere on the layer that you'd like to clip. For example, I like to clip this image to my text. I would go anywhere in this free space, right click, and your pop-up should appear, and if you look at one of the options, it says create clipping mask. If I left click on this, voila. Now what's actually happened is the image is visible through the text itself. Why? Because that image is actually clipped to my text layer. Okay, you will see this little arrow to the left side of your image that is showing is clipped to the layer below. Let's Control Z out of this. Another way would be making sure the layer that you'd like to clip is highlighted. Control Alt and the letter G on your keyboard will do exactly the same thing. So Control Alt and G to clip. Or another way would be hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and then move your mouse between the two layers that you would like to clip. For example, I like to clip my image to my text layer. As soon as I drag my mouse and it goes between the two, you will see that particular symbol appear. Once you see that symbol appear, left click down and it will do exactly the same thing. It will clip your image layer to your text layer. As soon as you do that, you'll see this little arrow pointing downwards, which means this layer is actually clipped to the layer beneath it. Now that we have it clipped, we can even transform this image by making sure the image is highlighted. Control T, and let me just, if I wanted to change and I can transform that image itself. Okay, so that's entirely up to you what you would like to do with the image itself. If you want to transform it to get it to a specific size or a position, that's entirely up to you. That all depends on your personal projects. Okay, I want to teach you guys one other thing while we're on this particular tutorial. So for example, this player, I'd like to show more of his head and his body. How would I do this? Okay, simply by making sure the image is highlighted, pressing Ctrl and J on your keyboard. That will create a copy of the image. Okay, now that copy has become my topmost layer. Let me reduce the opacity to see what's beneath it. Now once I reduce the opacity to say 40 or 50%, there's the image, and I can see the text now. I will go to my quick selection tool. I'll highlight part of his face and his hair. Once we have a selection, let's bring our opacity back to 100%. In the layers panel, go right to the bottom and you'll see an icon, this icon here. As soon as you hover your mouse over it, it should say add a layer mask. Now we will add a layer mask to this. Once we do this, with the magic of Photoshop, look what happens. It almost seems like the player is actually coming outside of that text itself. Okay, now before we go, there's one last thing that I want to show you guys. How do we actually pop the text itself? Okay, let's go to text, highlight the text, and any free space you see on the text layer itself, double click on it and it should give you a layer style box. Let's go with Bevel Emboss. As you see, as soon as I keep an eye on these little bits here, okay, on the text. So when I click on Bevel Emboss, it gives me that little bevel and embossing of the letters. There you go, on top of the C, on top of the F. Okay, now go through these blending options, see what they can do for you. Okay, for the purpose of this tutorial and for me, I think I'm going to go for, say for example, a lighter shade. Let me pick this color and let me go for brightness. Okay, you have these settings within your layer styles. Each style will have its own set of settings. Work through them slowly and you will get an idea of what they do. Okay, I've actually got mine set to what I need, and I will OK this, and as you can see, it's created an outer glow on my text itself. Okay guys, we're going to call it an end to this class. Hopefully you've learned something. Remember to go away and do your practice runs, okay, because you know practice makes perfect. The more practice that you guys do, the better you will become at using these tools. Okay, and let's see what beautiful things that you guys can create. Okay, so just keep in mind, initially we started with 3 layers, we ended up with 4 layers now to create one image. Okay, go away, do your practice runs, and we'll see you in the next tutorial. As always, take care of yourselves. Adios amigos.